In today's chilling episode, we're delving into the dark and twisted lives of Fred and Rose West, two of the UK's most notorious serial killers. The infamous couple made headlines and left a grim and disturbing legacy in the town of Gloucester in England. Before we unravel this disturbing and harrowing tale though, if this is your sort of content, please do subscribe, hit that like button, the bell notification so you don't miss any future content. Ready for this chilling journey? Dim the lights, grab a drink, lock the door. Let's get into the disgusting and disturbed story of Fred and Rose West. So as usual, to get a better understanding of these very disturbed individuals, we need to sort of deep dive into their background, their early years. Both Fred and Rose came from troubled upbringings, which isn't a surprise. It's quite a common theme in these sort of stories. Fred West was born in the small village of Muchmarkle, Herefordshire, in 1941. Remember, this was interwar period, so life was tough. His family had a history of incest and abuse, with his father being a strict disciplinarian and his mother an overbearing figure. Fred later claimed that he was sexually abused by his mother and that his father taught him that incest was normal. Great life lesson there, Mr. West Sr. He left school at the age of 15 and worked as a farm labourer, committing petty crimes and developing a taste for voyeurism. Does that sound remotely familiar? Rosemary Letts, known as Rose, was born in 1953 in northern Devon. Her father was a violent and abusive man, while her mother suffered from depression and underwent electroconvulsive therapy during Rose's pregnancy. This is believed to have affected Rose's development, leading to aggressive behaviour and a low IQ. She was also sexually abused by her father. Rose met Fred in 1969 when she was just 15 years old, and he was 28. Yeah. They moved in together shortly after, and Rose became pregnant with her first child, Heather. The couple married in 1972, and their twisted relationship began to take shape. They moved to 25 Cromwell Street in Gloucester, a 3-storey house that would later become the infamous House of Horrors. This is where they would commit some of the most heinous crimes. Their sadistic tendencies were fueled by a shared love for bondage and extreme sexual practices. Now, despite their depravity, the Wests led quite an ordinary life, it seemed on the surface, which again is quite common in these tales. Fred was working as a builder and Rose was caring for the family. Caring. However, behind closed doors, the family were engaging in a world of torture, rape, and murder that would eventually shock not just the UK, but the world. Now, as we dive deeper into the lives of Fred and Rose West, it is important to remember that their actions do not define the entire city of Gloucester. This beautiful and historic city has much more to offer than the gruesome legacy left behind by Fred and Rose West. Now, the murders committed by Fred and Rose West were as gruesome as they were calculated. Between 1971 and 1987, the couple is believed to have killed at least 12 young women and girls, though the true number of victims may never be known. The majority of their victims were vulnerable young women, often runaways or those estranged from their families, whom they lured to their home with promises of shelter or work. One of their first known victims was Linda Goff, a 19-year-old who vanished in 1973 after moving in with the Wests. Over the years, more women and girls would meet a similar fate, including Carol Ann Cooper, Lucy Partington, and Juanita Mott. Each victim was subjected to unimaginable acts of torture, rape, and mutilation before being killed and dismembered. Fred often boasted that his killing kit included a variety of tools, such as knives, ropes, and even a homemade electric chair. Now, I'm not a fan of the death penalty, but tragically, the West's reign of terror extended to their own family. In 1971, Fred killed his 8-year-old stepdaughter, Charmaine, while Rose was serving a short prison sentence for theft. 8 years old. Upon her release, Rose callously lied to Charmaine's mother, Rena Costello, claiming that her daughter had been taken away by social services. In 1972, the couple also killed Rena, burying her remains in a field near their former home. Now, in 1987, the Wests went even further and killed their own daughter, 16-year-old Heather, after subjecting her to years of physical and sexual abuse. This is your own daughter, your own DNA. What sort of twisted mother... You're probably sharing the same sentiments as me right now. The couple buried Heather in their garden, marking her grave with a patio. Heather's death became a turning point in the West's horrific story, as it would eventually lead to their capture. Throughout their killing spree, the Wests managed to evade suspicion, even from their neighbours and friends. Their home at 25 Cromwell Street became a chilling monument to their crimes, with the remains of their victims buried in the garden and hidden beneath the cellar floor. It wasn't until years later that the true extent of their depravity would be uncovered, shaking the city of Gloucester and the world to its core. The West's crimes went undetected for years, but their house of horrors would eventually crumble. In 1992, an investigation into child abuse allegations against the Wests was initiated. The couple's surviving children were taken into care, and the West's dark secrets began to unravel. Now, it all started when Fred was accused of raping one of his daughters, which led the authorities to probe deeper into the family's history. They discovered that Heather, who had been missing since 1987, was rumoured to have been buried in the garden. Interesting to find where that rumour started. If you know, please leave a comment. In February 1994, the police began searching the West's home, and their suspicions were confirmed when they discovered Heather's remains. The gruesome discovery marked the beginning of an extensive investigation. As the police continued to dig, they uncovered the remains of more victims, including those of Alison Chambers, Juanita Mott, and Shirley Robinson, who was pregnant with Fred's child when she was murdered. In total, the remains of 9 victims were found at 25 Cromwell Street, with an additional 3 bodies discovered at other locations. Fred was arrested on the 24th of February 1994 and initially charged with Heather's murder. He later confessed to killing 11 more victims, implicating Rose in some of the crimes. However, he later retracted his confession, claiming that he alone was responsible for the murders. Again, sounds very familiar. Rose was arrested on the 20th of April 1994 and charged with 10 counts of murder, including those of her daughter Heather and stepdaughter Charmaine. Now, the case garnered immense media attention, both nationally and internationally. The public was horrified by the couple's depravity and the sheer number of victims, making the Wests one of the most notorious serial killer couples in history. Throughout the investigation, the residents of Gloucester watched in shock as the grim history of their city was laid bare. The house at 25 Cromwell Street became a morbid focal point, with onlookers gathering to catch a glimpse of the now infamous property. The house was later demolished in 1996, with the site turned into a landscaped walkway, as a symbol of healing and moving forward for the community. Which is nice, because if you go back to the Jeffrey Dahmer case, they were still trying to push through a park to provide some healing to the local community. It's nice that the council in Gloucester actually did this, so bravo to you. Unsurprisingly, the trial of Fred and Rose became one of the most high profile in British history. The couple's heinous acts had shocked the nation, and the public eagerly awaited the outcome of their day in court. Unfortunately, some of their good news didn't arrive. Fred West's trial was set to begin in January 1995, with him facing 12 counts of murder. However, on New Year's Day of 1995, he was found dead in his prison cell, having hanged himself. His suicide left many questions unanswered and denied the families of his victims the chance to see him brought to justice. If there is an afterlife, I really hope he is burning somewhere or in a lot of pain for what he caused. I'm all for forgiveness, but in these situations, what they've done to the victims and the families, no. With Fred's death, the focus shifted to Rose West. Her trial began on the 3rd of October 1995 at Winchester Crown Court. The prosecution built a strong case against her, using forensic evidence, witness testimonies, and even Fred's initial confession, which implicated her in several of the murders. Rose, however, maintained her innocence throughout the trial, claiming that she had no knowledge of the crimes and that her husband had acted alone. The jury deliberated for just under 7 hours before returning with their verdict on the 22nd of November 1995. Guilty, guilty, guilty. Ha! Rose West was found guilty of 10 counts of murder, including the murders of her daughter Heather, stepdaughter Charmaine, and 8 other young women. She was sentenced to life in prison, with the judge recommending that she should never be released. Rose's conviction marked the end of a dark chapter in Gloucester's history. The trial had exposed the West's sadistic crimes to the world, casting a shadow over the city that would take years to lift. The families of the victims were finally granted some semblance of justice, though the pain of their loss would never truly disappear. Over the years, Rose West had made several appeals for her sentence to be reduced, but all have been rejected. She remains incarcerated to this day, serving a whole life order, one of only a few women in the UK to be handed such a sentence. The trial of Fred and Rose West served as a harrowing reminder of the depths of human depravity. Their heinous crimes continue to haunt the city of Gloucester and have left an indelible mark on the nation's psyche. The story of Fred and Rose West is a chilling reminder that evil can lurk in the most unsuspecting places, even at home, where you're supposed to be safe. The heinous acts they committed will forever taint the history of Gloucester, but it's essential that we remember and learn from these dark chapters to ensure that such atrocities are not repeated. So that wraps up today's episode. If you found this story intriguing and want to learn about more stories about other serial killers, then make sure to hit that like button and the bell notification so you don't miss any future episodes. Don't forget to subscribe as well for more chilling content. As usual, dear viewers, stay safe.